Well, welcome everybody. I'm Absurdum, and we're going to talk about the new Devblog that the Stoneshard dev team just put out about the Arcanist. A couple weeks ago, they had kind of released a little bit of a teaser for the new Arcanist tree, which I was really excited to show off and made a small post about. But today, just in case you didn't see it, or you're too lazy to read it yourself, or you just want to hear my thoughts about it, I figured we'd go over it a little bit. I kind of pre-read this a little bit just to get an idea of what we would be talking about, but this would be a new magic tree. Get 7 active, 7 passives, like all the others it says here. And what's really cool about this one is it seems to actually have a lot of crowd control and a lot of support abilities for it. This first support ability or magic ability is a dimensional shift. As you can see here in the little GIF they put out there, just swaps 2 targets and does damage to them. It says this is an entry level spell, which I think is really, really interesting because this would make it very, very easy for you to pick this up as an ability for any other class. You could do this as a melee. You could do this as a magic person for another tree. And I think that's really, really interesting because I feel like that opens up a lot of options for just picking up a magic ability or two on the side for somebody like Leo, which is pretty cool. It says here you can target 2 things, including yourself, and teleport them, forcibly swapping their positions. The spell deals a small amount of arcane damage for each tile of distance traveled, and has a small chance to confuse and daze them while also applying stacking penalties, weapon damage, accuracy, and fumble chance for a few turns. This spell doesn't harm the caster and can't be used on inanimate objects, except for the ones that we summon, because yes, we'll be able to summon things, or giant targets such as bosses. So what I think is really cool about this is, what if there was like a hedgehog or a bear? Could we swap places with them? Could we instigate a fight like that? And as far as I can tell, the answer is yes, which I think makes it even more fun. It just opens up a lot of possibilities. My mind runs wild with the different things we'd be able to do with it. And if it's a tier 1, which it is, it's like the first spell, that's super, super awesome. I'd love to be messing with that in a melee build. Next, we have Wormhole here. Lets you select a target, including yourself, marking its tile and remembering its current position. After a few turns, the target will be returned to the marked tile, or the closest one available, receiving significant arcane damage if it's occupied. So if this gentleman here was in that spot, when he teleports back, it would do significant damage, which I'm really interested to see what those numbers will be. The spell doesn't go on cooldown until the mark expires. During this time, recasting the spell removes the effect prematurely, returning the target to the original tile. So if you got somebody that's right behind him, you could cast it and then immediately uncast it and bop them into each other for significant damage. Once again, I'm excited to see the numbers about it because I want to see, like, if the longer it's been, the more damage it does. Who knows exactly how that works. But being able to mess around with time and space a little bit is going to be something that I think is going to be a really fun mechanic in this game. This spell can't be used on inanimate objects, except for the ones that we summon, or bosses, just like the other ability. Then we have Aether Shield. So this could be a shield ability, which is going to be a little bit different. Creates magical shield around the caster for a few turns, decreasing incoming damage, and granting bonuses to bleed, control, and move resistance. Nice things, especially for a mage. Usually doesn't have a lot of those. While the shield is active, teleporting prolongs the effect's duration and temporarily adds arcane damage to the caster's attacks. So we could throw that shield up, get the hell out, and then do some other attacks, or if we wanted to teleport like here and start doing melee attacks on somebody who's maybe a little bit more vulnerable and more dangerous than the person we're in melee with. That just makes us even stronger. So this could be interesting to work for defensive things, but it could also be interesting to flip the table and make it offensive too. Shield also converts a small amount of damage into injury. A small portion of received damage into energy, and destroys any physical or magical projectiles that would hit the caster, preventing their damage and effects entirely. This includes thrown objects, daggers, bombs, and even nets. Finally, any target colliding with a shielded character will receive some arcane damage. So by colliding, I wonder if that means like charging, or if like somebody were to charge you, they take damage from it, which would be really cool. That's a nice defensive ability for anybody who, those late game enemies that charge at you and hit you with their shield. For the AoE ability, which I'm really excited for, Schism, lets you select a 5x5 tile. As you can see, it's pretty big, dealing arcane damage to all targets within it. Afterwards, knocks back all enemies within the 1 tile radius, so the center one, away from the center, and pulls all enemies 2 tiles on the outside there towards it, forcing them to collide. Now, it's unfortunate we don't see any of that in this GIF. If they would have placed it here, like they are right there, these two would have hit each other, but then I think these two would have hit each other. So that's why they didn't end up doing it. Real shame, because it would have been nice to see that effect here. But you do see them get pushed around, you do see them get hurt, and it does try to do it on this guy too, even though he's immovable. So what if that meant someone's there, they would have still collided. All affected enemies also have a chance to be staggered or mobilized, which we see that kind of get dazed right there. Stasis. So this is something I'm also really excited about. Straight up just kind of stop somebody, like a Final Fantasy stop spell. While in stasis, the target is immune to all damage types except arcane, so still fair game to us. Unaffected until the effect expires. Stasis also frees all the target's cooldowns and the duration of all other effects. When stasis expires or is removed, any arcane damage it received by the target over the course of the effect's duration is dealt in a 3x3 area with a chance to stun or mobilize all targets. So it can hit the crap out of them, and anybody's stuff standing otherwise will take some damage afterwards, which would be pretty cool. There's a lot of different things to play around with, a lot of mechanics to kind of make this more interesting. Teleporting a target with stasis removes the ability prematurely and doubles the chances of stun and mobilization, which is really cool. It'll be nice to kind of be able to manipulate the battlefield a lot, which seems to be one of the primary things that this skill tree will do. Spells can't be used on inanimate objects, except for the ones that we summon, or giant targets like bosses. Mana Crystal is the next one, which, as you can see from the GIF already, you kind of summon something that fights with you, and I think that's going to be awesome. The last two spells here seem to do something like that, which I think is going to be another mechanic that's new to this game that's going to be really, really awesome. Summons an adamant magic crystal on the targeted tower, which persists for 8 turns. Each turn, the crystal shoots a bolt of arcane energy at the closest enemy, prioritizing the ones with low health. If you teleport the crystal, it causes it to shoot 3 bolts, spreading between random enemies within its range. The crystal's stats change dynamically based on yours. It's going to be fun just to drop these. I literally can't wait. I can't wait to have a little magical rock shooting people for me. I don't know. I'm pretty bummed about it. Next is Fantasiam. Another thing that we can summon. So you can see here in the GIF, get yourself a nice little clone. Summons a Fantasiam on the targeted tile, which persists for 8 turns. The Fantasiam is immune to all effects except Wormhole and Stasis, which is really interesting because I'm not exactly sure why you'd want to cast Stasis on it, but we'll get into that more with one of the passives, which can then move within a small area around the tile of summoning. So it will actually move around, which would be cool to see that in a GIF too, but that's all right. Its attacks enemies in melee range and can be healed with arcane damage, and its stats change depending on yours. Additionally, it itself has access to the following abilities. The first one is Arcane Tether, a ranged ability that deals arcane damage but has a chance to pull the target to an adjacent tile. Okay, so we'll reposition people for us. Mana Siphon, a strike that burns the target's energy, transferring it to us. Awesome. And Consonance, performing a miracle while casting arcane spells prolongs the existence of the summoned Phantasm by 1 turn. So we could get a longer. This could be a cool reason to build high miracle chance. Teleporting the Phantasm instantly refreshes its active cooldowns and moves its tether to a new tile. Why not? Why not swap it out with another enemy using... I forgot the name of it. Not Wormhole. Dimensional Shift. Get it to refresh. I'm pretty pumped about all these abilities. I can't wait to see them in action. Once we got passive abilities, Arcane Might, dealing arcane damage with attacks and spells grant bonus to accuracy, fumble chance, backfire chance, crit chance, and miracle chance. Teleporting grants bonus range to Arcanist spells for a few turns and reduces accumulated backfire damage. It'd be really nice. It really gives you a lot of reasons to kind of teleport yourself. If you didn't have enough, just positionally wise, just give yourself a nice buff while you do it. Transcendental Anchoring, teleporting enemies burns some of their energy, transferring it to you. Teleporting yourself or the entity summoned by Arcanist reduce the spell's cooldown of Dimensional Shift by 2 turns. So I'm interested to see what the cooldown base is going to be. 2 turns is pretty significant. I imagine it would have a pretty high cooldown. Otherwise, you're just going to be swapping people around all the time, doing pretty good damage to them. But who knows? We could get that down pretty far. Time Echo, casting Wormhole on yourself and returning to the original tile, replaces 30% of your health and energy lost over the duration. Could be a decent way to try to get away. Heal yourself. Otherwise, I'm not really sure why I'd want to really do that. But, you know, if you're in a jam and you need to run one way and then teleport back, get your health back and run the other way, could work. If you're really, really in a bad spot. I think what I'd be using this more for would be the other one. Casting it on an enemy deals additional arcane damage to them upon returning to the original tile, equal to a third of the damage they received over the effect. That seems more useful to me. Astral Tides, successfully moving enemies with Schism, or the surrounded Phantasm's arcane tether, lowers their magic and arcane resistance for a few turns. Failing to do so instead means dealing arcane damage. Remember, Schism is the one that if they knock into each other, they take significant damage. This makes it even better. If they fail to move, meaning they bumped into something, they take additional damage. I think that's going to be a great increase to the damage we get with it. Entropy Flare. Teleporting a mana crystal grants it bonus range, damage, accuracy, and damage reflection for a few turns. All the more reason to teleport it, because remember, if you teleport it or move it, it shoots 3 times instead of 1. When hit in melee, mana crystals and phantasms now do arcane damage to their attackers. I think this is going to be so much fun to build. Aether Harmony. Every 10 turns, performing a miracle when casting mana crystal instantly refreshes the spell's cooldown and reduces its energy cost until cast again. So anytime you do a miracle when casting mana crystal, you can cast it again, basically. So you got multiple crystals out there. And then why not dimensional shift the 2 of them? Get this other bonus. Get multiple shots going out. We're going to turn into a tower defense. It's going to be great. Each currently summoned Arcanist entity grants the caster bonus magic power and gradually reduces their backfire damage. Beyond the Veil. Casting Stasis on yourself no longer causes the character to take damage or receive debuffs when the effect expires. While in Stasis, the character's cooldowns are no longer frozen, which is a great way to wait a couple turns without having to take damage. The effect itself grants major bonus to the Arcanist's power and miracle chance. When the effect expires, the character will receive Between the Worlds for 1 turn, making them untargetable by aimed attacks and spells. That's a pretty cool, like, just a side effect there. I don't see it ever really playing a huge difference. And I also don't see, at least me, being able to sit there and go like, oh, I know, I'll do this. And then when I come back, that'll be perfect because they won't be able to target me for 1 turn. No, but it's cool. It is a really cool idea just thinking that you're like between the 2 worlds of stasis and reality. And people can't hit you with anything ranged. And then for the last little bit here, they showed a little bit, and you can see it here. Not that one. These are shots of the caves system that they're planning to supposedly introduce soon. This caves that we've been discovering, we're going to be able to go inside of them. What appears to be some miners, maybe some bandits hanging on them, but these interiors are caves, which are really exciting for. And they even showed off one of the little bosses here. Some big maggot-like creature with other magic-like tentacle things. I don't know. But I assume that's some type of boss. And I can't wait to see more of it. So thank you so much for coming by and enjoying this video with me. Hopefully it wasn't too long or too painful to sit through, but I'm really excited for a lot of these new spells that they're going to do. A lot of new mechanics, including freezing people, moving things, summoning things. It's all new magic stuff. It's going to be so great. It's going to be really, really nice to have more magic skill trees as well. Hopefully you're just excited. And when it does come out, which I'm hoping with this Devblog, it'll come out in the next couple weeks to hopefully no more than a month or so. And we'll be playing it. Please take care of yourself, stay safe, and I do hope to see you again real soon. Bye-bye.